we're 7-0, it's probably not going to.
Okay.
Are live, Bob.
Let me start. So welcome to the June 2nd, I'm correct? Welcome to the June 2nd Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. We're doing the session ahead. What do we call it? Workshop beforehand. So here we go. We'll start this. There is a question coming from Heather first. Please ask.
In regards to one of the applications, 2021-048, the setback that they're requesting is 35, but if you look at the survey map they showed, the setback should be 33.2.
Is that because of another offset or a right of way?
It's one of the.
Because the survey map, from what I've seen often, like if you have one on a street, typically it's showing you the distance they draw it on there from the center line, not from the right of way.
So it's the last, or, well, one of the last.
The right of way is in the middle of the road.
So let's
Yeah.
look at it.
It's the right of way line and it's 45 feet, 0.2, but the net is to the front of the house. And that looks like, could be,
Why don't we grab that one when we're at it? We'll definitely discuss it.
Yeah, I can address that when we get to it.
okay.
So I have two things. One thing, Beth and I had a quick conversation, and Eric, this is probably going to go to you, that we'll look for. I don't want full answer now, but I think it's something we should just probably readdress. And it's really the question, there's an email that came in from Heather, not you, Heather Voss,
Right.
about two neighbors to these applicants that we have. And the reality is that any one of us could respond to that and say, oh, I got a question about that or anything. Would anything like that ever create an open meetings law violation, if that's the way to say it?
By responding to their email?
To
what
the
you're asking?
group, because Heather sends it to us as a whole, and if we respond, does that cause a problem?
I think it's probably more appropriate that we wait and address it
Okay,
here.
okay. So that's a good part. And Beth, I think there might have been a couple other minor nuances that we were just sort of discussing earlier. Is there anything that we missed beyond that?
Just the question of like any of the ones that may come into this facility looking for guidance before applying.
Mhm.
If for whatever reason, any of us in a discussion or an email, hey, guess what I learned about blah. If you send it in an email, does that violate?
Not if it's somebody that hasn't filed an application,
So only if they have.
but only if it's an application pending before the board.
Okay, so if it's active, we got to pay close attention to it.
We should
If it's
pay
just a conversation, not anything submitted yet, it's just a conversation.
It's a conversation. It's okay for people to come in and, I'm thinking about doing this and asking questions of Kevin or,
Okay,
other people that can guide them so that those are people that are actually trying to do the right thing.
yes,
There's a number of people out there, as
Just
Kevin
do
can
it.
probably tell us, that are just doing,
yeah.
whatever.
Perfect. Thank you for the guidance. So with that, I would like to do a quick straw poll, and John's not here right now, so I'm hoping we're not too close on any of these right now. 2021-018, which is at 176 Butler Drive. It's Beth, this is yours.
This one was pushed from the last meeting.
Right.
Yeah,
So this one is a shed
Yeah.
with a 1 foot setback, whereas required is 4. This shed was there prior to this gentleman's purchase of the property, as the shed was put in with the pool back in 1986. And then he indicates he was unaware of the issue, especially since the property line appears further because the neighbor's chain link fence is 3 to 4 feet off of their own property line.
yes.
So it's not really oh, my shed is 1 foot away from their fence. My shed is 1 foot away at my property line. And he also included an email from the neighbor who was like, I'm fine with it. It's always been there.
And again, it's been like that for a long time.
Yeah, it's been like this for a long time.
Okay, so straw poll, Beth,
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine.
Christian?
I'm fine with it too. No issue.
I'm good with it.
Okay, so barring anything interesting, we'll move on to the next one. This next one's one,
Coincidentally is also mine.
also yours, yes. You get a lot of work in a row. 129 York Road, or York Bay Trail.
So this particular person needs to widen the top part of their driveway, adding an addition that's 19 feet long, 13 feet wide, or 9 feet wide. Kind of like that whole up and over.
Yep.
For parking.
Yep.
So I don't really have an issue with this. It's pretty reasonable. It's not like they're asking for an exceedingly large extra amount.
Now, there's two parts to it also, right? 26 is the other part, and that one goes up to the side. Is that the one?
Right, so
Or is
one
it
is
the-
widening it, the other one is the
Setback.
reduction of the side setback.
Mhm.
These are kind of, you don't realize how close your neighbors are until you try to do something on either side of your property, and you're like, oh.
They're that close. So what is your general opinion as we sit here?
To me, it's not an issue because
No.
most people, when they have driveways that butt up to each other.
Okay,
I'm okay with it.
Christian?
I'm fine with it too.
No
problem.
It's logical to me. I'm good.
Okay. Give me one moment.
So the next application is mine. They're looking to add a 10-foot by 16 storage shed where they're only allowed 118. It is, they don't really give much of the reason why, just needing extra room for storage space. It seems like they've exceeded all their storage within their house. Their property is kind of large, or not large, on like a smaller, kind of awkward, and there's a bunch of trees. So I'm okay with it.
This, just for references, is also one we got an email on today?
Yes, we got an
Or
email
yesterday?
today saying that they were approving, their neighbor was approving of it.
Something new that I think I'm going to start doing, Beth and I also talked about this. I think I'm going to read that email.
Out loud? Or-
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm going to start doing that when we get them for being on the record. Is that appropriate, Eric?
Sure.
Yeah.
Is it weird or is that appropriate?
No, I think it's okay.
Okay.
If there's somebody in, that's attending that might be of interest,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, so I'm going to start doing that. That was something I haven't done. We think it's wise. So if I heard you correctly, Heather, you're fine.
Yeah.
Christian?
I'm okay with it in general. I just kind of wonder why it's there and not further in the backyard. I know there's a big evergreen in front of it, so there shouldn't be any site issues, but I'm just curious as to why it's there and not more along the back property line.
One of the things that I noticed, and I don't know exact placement because it's sort of hard to tell with a map compared to what's reality. Their neighbor has one that's roughly mirroring that on that property line.
Oh, really?
So the one to the, if you're looking at from the road to the left, has one that's similarly placed. It might be farther back, but it's similarly placed. So I do agree, I question the location personally, but that's what I noticed.
Because the one thing is, it may be okay, but then, like, I think about if the fire department has to get around back to that part of the house, it's gonna impede their ability to move their, whatever they have to get back there, hoses, whatever, if there's ever a fire. But that's what I could think of might be an issue.
I think the other thing, Christian, we're paying attention to we don't have any question about the placement, it's strictly the size. In other words, according to zoning rules, we're only asking about the size. I mean, we can address the size because of placement, but that is the reference that we're focused on.
Okay.
I'm not telling you to change your opinion.
No, I understand that. I'm just trying to bring up just wondering why it's there. Plus also, is that considered the backyard still, or is it considered the front yard?
How do you decide that, Kevin? Is that considered like a front yard at a certain point, or is it considered backyard?
Well, any point forward of the house, front line to the road is.
Front yard.
So it's on the side, not kind of it's not, okay, it's in between basically. Okay.
Does that change the requirement, Kevin, to have a different variance as well? I don't think so. but I'm
Side,
just-
no.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you're okay?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I mean, actually, I wouldn't mind also seeing what it's going to look like, but besides that, I'm okay with it. I would vote yes.
I'm okay with it.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, we're good. 2021-41, I'm sorry, and this is for, what is it?
Yeah, this one is a fun one.
Lillian.
So-
For Lane.
Yeah, so this
Yeah, that-
particular one is technically for a second shed, and I understand why it's classified that way, but it's not really what it is. The issue is she has kind of a carport on the property. So this property was very run down when Miss Williams purchased it, and she's been doing a lot of construction to renovate it. I had occasion to speak with her, walk the property, all that kind of stuff. And basically what happens is it's like a single car garage with like this little carport on the side. But the way the carport is, you can barely put a push mower in it, let alone do any real storage. Like it's just like a very weird aspect.
Yep.
So what she's looking for is it's going to be classified as a second shed, but it's really just a shed in the backyard so she can store all of the usual lawn care equipment, pool furniture, pool stuff, patio furniture, etc. Given the size of the property and the fact that multiple neighbors have sheds that look very similar to the picture she gave us, I see no real issue with it. So I'm inclined to approve it.
So
It's
again,
also a small shed.
It's not a huge
Yeah.
shed.
No, it's not.
it's 100 square feet, yeah.
Yeah.
So the real question is because of a technicality of the way the house was when she bought it, we now have
Exactly.
this.
That's how I understand it. I mean, Kevin, correct me if I'm misinterpreting, but that was my
That's what I thought I saw too.
view of it.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah.
Did you just like feel that yell? Oh, she's,
Oh.
I was like, sometimes I can feel that. Sorry, Heather.
There we go. What was the question?
I just wanted, because it's basically, she doesn't really have two sheds, but I think the carport thing was counting as the second accessory
There's-
structure.
The carport, but the back section of the carport was closed off as a shed.
Okay, so that's why it's labeled as
That's
a
why,
shed.
yeah, we're considering a second shed.
Okay.
Enclosed area. I mean, it's a garage, but really that's not the point because they're allowed two sheds anyway.
Mhm.
It's just total. We decided that was the best use was to, look at both of those as the total square footage.
Okay.
For shed space.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm good with it. I'm all
So-
for it.
So that other one's 227 square feet?
It has to be.
It didn't look that big.
I'd agree with that.
It doesn't play that big,
It's,
the way it's shaped.
Is it because it's the length of the garage or something, and then it's 10 feet or 8 feet wide or
if it's
something
the
like?
enclosed portion, if it's.
Yeah, it's 18
back,
feet long by the drawing.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so
I think
big.
it's
That's why. Yeah.
it's closed off from the garage.
Okay.
It's just
See-
not very usable. When you go look at it, you can't store hardly anything in it.
So I get the, like Jesse, from what you've said, I get that. My only concern is what doesn't mean that they could take down that storage carport down and then eventually put up a 327 foot or square foot storage.
I mean,
later
if-
down the road.
yeah.
Then they wouldn't need a variance because they already have it.
So I asked her about that alternative. I said, what about removing the carport? The answer that I received, and we can certainly ask it during testimony, was that it was very expensive. And the way the carport is attached to the house, it was going to create some structural issues. So she didn't deem it a feasible alternative.
Okay.
Because I had the same thought, Heather. That
Yeah.
was one of the first things I asked Ms. Williams.
It's physically attached.
Yes. So it would create
Okay.
some structural issues and financial barriers.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Jesse,
I think they actually got a variance back in 1969 for the side setback there.
and size probably.
1965.
So, well, I think I'm pretty sure it was in the 60s.
Yeah, 65.
It's included in there.
You can tell from the font.
And the fact that it says
60s font,
1965.
okay.
So you're good, Jesse?
Yes.
Beth,
I'm good.
Heather?
I have to hear the testimony, but I'm leaning towards yes.
Okay. Christian?
I'm good with it.
No issue.
Okay. Mr. Harrington, you have 2021-042.
Yes, so basically rough dimensions of the lot suggested 180 foot would be fine. Upon filling out the application, realized that because it's a corner lot, it wasn't quite the exact dimensions that they thought. They come up short by 2 feet. So shed for storage, house is full, basement is full, needs space. 180 square foot is the request and the size that makes sense for their needs. I think it's pretty straightforward. The cement pad is already poured and it looks fantastic. They just need approval to install the shed.
Okay, Tim, so I assume you're saying fine.
Yes.
Mr. Redlow?
Yeah, for a difference of 2 square feet, I have no real objections here.
And worth noting, Mr. Wynn, Jim Wynn, is in no relation to
The next
appeal
one.
number 43, Thomas Wynn.
Okay,
So
Thank
I
you
just
for
had to
noting.
clarify that.
They're not, okay.
I'm okay with 2 square feet extra.
Christian?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay, good. Thank you. So next we have John. So he's not here right now. I hope we see him soon. But I will go over this. This one's quite a jump in size. I did not speak to these people. This is just for reference, 2021-043, 21 Shell Edge Drive. Normally looking for 165 is what they're allowed, but they're asking for 250. So again, quite a bit bigger. I did not go here. So does anybody have any reference? Or
I mean, I drove by to take a look at the property. I didn't speak to the resident. I had no concerns with it based on the layout of the property and the characteristic of the neighborhood. I thought it was okay. Nothing jumped out as a red flag to me.
Okay. Well, Jesse, I'm gonna,
I can write it if John.
that's what I was
doesn't
gonna
come.
ask if
Yeah.
you'd take over that. So if he's not here. Beth, how are you feeling about this one?
I was good.
I'm
Heather?
fine.
Christian?
I'm fine with it.
I'm okay with it.
You?
And Mrs. Vosk, I have a couple extra findings of fact.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have one, actually.
Yeah, I got one actually. Tim, did I ask you, are you good with it?
I have sufficient FOFAs, thank you.
I meant with the finding, the preliminary finding of that one. You're good with it? With the shed?
Oh, yeah, I already said.
Okay.
All right, sorry.
Christian, you have 2021-044, 88
Yes.
Hayward's Heath.
Sorry, what was that?
88 Hayward's Heath.
That's right. A couple things about this one, actually. I drove by the property. There are other houses in the area that have fences, but they're not as close to the a sidewalk. Basically, I measured out using Google Earth, actually, but from the center, he wants 30 feet from the center of the road. That actually pretty much puts it right up against the sidewalk.
It's about, I think it's about 4 or 5 feet off the sidewalk.
I think it may be a little bit closer than that because I did,
It's about,
because this is what, I can pass this around to everybody if they want to show it. This is a Google Earth map, and I mapped out 30 feet from the center line. It's
Okay.
right to the,
Just past the edge of the sidewalk is
it's
what
right,
you're
yeah, right past the edge of the sidewalk, so it's really
yeah.
right there. There's other houses that have, the one kitty corner to his house has one, I think that's 55 feet out, it's a bit more. There's one down the road that is like 40 feet off the center line of the road. So the other issue is that dashed line, that's an easement because that area does not have, the power lines are in the ground.
Yep.
So if he were to build where he drew his line here, it would be encroaching on the easement for RG&E. I think that,
So you'd want it to be off the easement,
yeah,
past the easement, is that what I'm, from the center line? that's
right,
your-
you would need to move it back another 10, 15 feet or whatever it is to clear the easement in case they ever have to dig the power lines or whatever, because if they do, they're gonna, I don't know what RG&E would do if they just take down the fence or they just have to get to it, but
You'd have to get permission probably to get on the property.
I'm not sure if it's an easement, it gives
They
them
do
the
not
right to
need
go on
permission
to.
to get on the property.
Because that's what-
Even a fence, going through a fence?
If
That's
the
what the
I
easement's
think if
for,
the
to
fence
make
is on
sure
the
that they
easement,
have
they
the
have
right
rights
to-
to just take it.
So,
The property owner will have to get permission from all those utilities to put a fence through there. So,
But isn't that the homeowner's responsibility? And What matters to us is the fact that he's requesting 6 foot, not 4 foot for a corner lot, or 3 foot for a corner
Correct.
lot.
So
Correct.
during the permitting process, we will make that a requirement that he brings us verification that they're okay with it. Yep.
So our assessment of this isn't the last step, is, again, just for reference. And so once we approve it, then you and your group has to
Yes,
approve it.
correct.
So we're solely looking at the fact of wanting to have a 6-foot fence
Versus a
where a
3.
3-foot fence is normally allowed by code.
So we can make recommendations on, or we can make assessments on what we would approve or not.
Mhm.
What would you like to see? Past the easement?
Mr. Mears.
I'm asking you.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you. Okay.
And we
I
can-
think that I would
And
be.
just to be clear, we
I would
will,
be, yeah, I would say that the smart thing would be, is to move it back further away from the road, whether it be 40, 45 feet or whatever it is. I mean, I know he wants to maximize his backyard, but also if he's able to get our genie to be okay with him putting a fence there, I don't know. But the easier alternative would be to move it in a little bit. That way, there's no problems in the future if they ever have to dig up the line or go in there to do any maintenance or whatever. I just think it would be more feasible for them to bring it a little bit closer so that it doesn't encroach on the easement. As far as the 6 feet, I'm okay with the 6 feet. So not opposed to the variance. I'm just saying that there's other issues at hand that need to be addressed.
okay, so well, as it stands, without hearing testimony or asking the questions, do you feel that you would, a straw poll, that you would take this as it sits, or you'd want an adjustment?
I would want to, well, I mean, we're talking about just about the height.
We are talking about the height, but we do have capabilities to say we'll
I,
accept the height if we do something else.
I'm fine with the 6-foot height, but I really believe he should pull the
Okay,
fence back a bit more so it doesn't encroach on the easement.
Mr. Harrington?
I'm okay with the 6 foot because it's corner lot, but the fence itself is not on the corner of the corner lot where the intersection happens. I don't think it's a line of sight concern.
Okay.
And in terms of fence placement, I think it's, the intention is privacy and safety. I think it makes sense as drawn.
Thank you.
In my view, it's a line of sight concern, so I'm against the 6 foot height.
Okay. Beth?
I would just want to ask the question, would they be able to achieve the same with a less than 6 foot?
Okay. And Heather?
For all the reasons that Harrington suggested, I'm okay with it as well.
You're in favor of it?
Yes.
Okay. So one,
Where it's located, even,
Well, that's going to get addressed by Kevin.
Right, I know.
The utility company. I mean, it's really just the 6 foot is what we're approving, so.
true, yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's any line of sight issues, so.
I'm done. I hear you. We're talking about 88 Hayward Street with a fence, 6 feet. Okay. And just out of curiosity, on the straw poll, how you feeling about that one? It's a 6-foot fence, 30 feet off the center line. There is some utility in the way, but they'd have to get approval for that anyways. We're on the fence here, so that's no pun intended. It's number 44. Sorry to throw you right into it.
No, that's right.
This is the one I went over and looked at.
On Haywood Street.
Yeah, I was fine with it.
You're fine, you said? Okay, 45, which is 76 Fitzpatrick Trail.
Great, thank you.
This is Beth again.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Jesse.
Okay, so this is requesting a 3.4 side setback for a shed, whereas 4 foot is required. Here's this was on the property prior to purchase. Situation for a shed, and it looks like the shed is basically sitting on the fence line that the chain link fence that they already have in place. It's interesting, how the chain link fence runs, when you look at the survey map, you see like it kind of seems like it's off center, but that's because of the shape of the lot.
Okay.
And I think maybe that's where that
The issue is,
inches occurred, but I don't really see an issue with
okay.
how it's placed.
I'm fine.
Christian?
I'm good with it.
Aaron?
No issues.
I agree with Beth. I'm good.
John?
Good.
Okay. The next one's me. 46. This is on 5 Wenrick Circle, and I went over there again today. I did not speak to the applicant. I have some questions about where it's placed. I consider this to be a very substantial intersection right on Henrietta Road, East Henrietta Road, and right near those baseball fields roughly.
Oh, yeah.
And I know the next street down, which would be Martin Road, farther south, the people at the corner have a fence, but it's a 3-foot fence. And to me, with this intersection, that might be better. That said, this drawing does have a line showing the line of sight right away. And there are a bunch of trees at the east side of this property, or bushes, I should say, that are definitely blocking the view, in my eyes. And I was just there again, because I keep going by this, trying to think it through. So I need to understand where that fence is turning, taking this bend, and a little bit more about it. But I am mixed feeling on this. I am not confident that I'd want it or not want it. I need to understand it better. So I am on the, legitimately on the edge here. So with that said, Beth, what are your thoughts?
It goes back to, is 6 foot needed?
Yep.
Can you do 5? Can you do?
So you're
4?
on the same thing
Yeah.
as me?
it's like-
Okay.
For the same reasons, I'm on the fence.
Christian? I know I can't stop saying that.
I mean, I want to hear more of the testimony, but I mean, given it's a really busy road, and it's right up against the sight line there, I have some questions about it. But I'm kind of, I'm undecided.
Okay, Harrington?
I echo Robinson's sentiments.
Yeah, this one, this is going to shock the chairman. I'm undecided for the same reason as you are on this one. It kind of feel like it's not going to block line of sight of the neighbors. My concern is more the road. And I have trouble picturing where it's going to be. So I need to hear testimony.
Okay,
Undecided. Same.
that's
Um,
interesting.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
out of curiosity, do you remember the application where, I can't think of the name or the street name, but we asked, you had concerns prior?
It's on Locust Hill Drive.
Yes,
Right on the
I
corner.
didn't know
That one, yeah.
if we could
So
potentially,
it's Jefferson and Locust Hill.
yeah, Locust Hill,
They had him stake it out
yeah,
and maybe postpone it a month.
yeah.
That will be an option if we decide to
Okay.
decline or.
Can you actually explain what that means? Because I actually live on that street and I know the fence well. What do you mean asked to stake it out?
We held that application off for 1 month and asked the homeowner to put a stake in the ground where they were going to put the.
Oh,
fence.
a physical thing in the
Yeah.
space.
So we
that
could all
could
drive
see-
by it
Oh,
and say
okay.
that's acceptable or not.
Somebody from the town went by too.
Yes, correct.
Deputy supervisor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
You're coming up on South.
I got 2 minutes, guys, so I'm going to push through this. So
All right,
46 is on the fence, so to speak. 47 is a
Um,
6-foot tall fence.
yep, 6 foot tall fence. They kind of have their backyard is, up against somebody else's. There's looking for more privacy. So for a 6 foot, I'm okay with it.
I kind of want to know exactly how closer to the road it comes here, because if it's going to be, if it's where it's drawn, I don't have a problem with it. I just wasn't quite sure exactly how close to the road it gets.
Yeah, there's not a real, definition of where exactly the fence is.
We'll ask that.
Yeah.
So you're in the air? I'm going to say in the air.
Well, if it's far enough off the road, then I'm okay with it, but if it's closer than what is showing on the map, then I may not be.
Okay. Mr. Harrington?
Given that it's for privacy and it's between neighbors, not on the actual corner, it seems to supplement existing trees. I would be okay with it.
I echo Mr. Harrington. I'm in favor.
In favor.
You're in, same bit, okay. We got, I think, 2 more here, 3 more. Mr. Redlow, I think this one's you, 48.
Yep, this one's really straightforward. Guy doesn't have a front deck right now, just a concrete step, wants a safer, easier way in and out of the home. It's a 5-foot difference. I'm fine with it.
Thank you.
Fine.
Good.
I'm fine with two.
Thank you.
My only question would be is, can we get it smaller? I think the deck is quite large for a front deck.
Okay. Valid question. Christian, you're okay? Tim or Harrington?
I'm definitely in favor of anything that encourages activity in the front of houses. I'm fine with it.
Okay. And last but not least is Mr. Harrington again. Summer Sky Drive, number 49.
Yeah, so upon advisement from very helpful folks at the town, this was classified as an open-air garage so that it could serve the need of putting a structure behind the existing fence so that the existing boat could be behind the fence and have coverage from the elements. And there is existing stone, so it literally is just safety and security and cover for some existing conditions. I spoke to the immediate neighbor on that side. He's totally in support of it. I see no issue.
So there's existing stone where they're putting the car.
So behind the fence, there is existing stone. So this
Okay.
structure will go on top of the existing
Okay.
crushed stone. The boat will go inside of that.
And they're already using it for the boat. They're just adding a cover.
Basically, yes.
Okay, Mr.
And,
Redlow?
but there was one caveat to this is that being classified as a garage allows potentially some addition to the width of the driveway leading up to the garage, which was one of the things discussed that I wanted to talk about.
I'm in favor.
In favor.
I'm good.
Heather?
I'm leaning towards yes.
I'm good.
All right. All right, so with that, Heather, can